Welcome back to Ben's Book Club. Today, we are diving into the book Faster, a system for finishing what matters. Man, how many times have you reached 5 p.m. just completely exhausted, your energy is entirely drained, yet you look back at your day and feel like you accomplished absolutely nothing? It's the worst feeling, right? You were in motion all day long, constantly swatting away problems, yet that one big project you actually wanted to finish, it remains completely untouched.
The fake progress trap. Activity versus meaning. So why exactly do we finish dozens of small tasks, yet leave the work that matters most completely unfinished? Well, there's this fascinating psychological phenomenon known as the Zeigarnik effect. Basically, this principle reveals that unfinished, meaningful work constantly drains our mental energy. It just sits there in the back of our minds, creating this constant drag on our focus. And while that's happening, we're swatting away tiny, insignificant distractions just to get a fleeting temporary sense of completion. We end up choosing the easy win over the important hurdle.
Think about it like a battle between the urgent and the important. On one side, you've got the urgent. This is your bursting email inbox, the relentless Slack notifications, unexpected meetings, and frankly, other people's emergencies. On the flip side, we have the important. This is your deep work, your strategic planning, the big projects that actually move the needle in your career or your life. But here's the reality of our daily grind. The urgent always cuts in line ahead of the important. It steals our focus every single day simply because it's louder and way more immediate.
Busy feels like progress. It isn't. That is such a brilliant takeaway from veteran trial lawyer, former law firm managing partner, and author Jeff Morris. He spent roughly 40 decades coaching brilliant, high-performing professionals who were literally drowning in their own to-do lists. And he wrote this book to completely dismantle the myth that doing more equates to moving forward. He realized that frantic busyness is in fact the ultimate enemy of real progress.
Systems over goals. Protecting attention. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Listen, high performers do not need better willpower, and they certainly don't need another motivational pep talk. What they actually need is a daily architecture that protects their attention. Look, everyone wants to get more done, right? But only effective people have a concrete system that actively defends their time from all those urgent distractions.
You see, your brain is a decision engine. It's not a storage unit. If you're trying to hold massive, ever-growing to-do lists all up in your head, you're just creating instant psychological paralysis. We have got to externalize our tasks. We have to get them out of our minds to clear up active mental bandwidth. Once you stop using your brain to try and remember what you forgot, it finally becomes free to actually focus on deciding, executing, and finishing.
Hospital triage, the ER metaphor. It's fascinating how perfectly your workday maps directly onto a hospital emergency room. Think about a busy ER for a second. You literally cannot treat every single patient at once. If you even try, the whole system collapses. Instead, you have to triage based on severity, and that's exactly what the Faster system does. It organizes your day into 3 distinct functional areas: the triage board, the operating room, and the waiting room.
Let's start with the triage board. This requires you to act just like a real ER doctor. You've got to evaluate this massive backlog of demands in under 5 minutes. You have to decide what is truly critical for today. Because guess what? Everything is not equal, and you cannot realistically cram a 12-hour backlog into an 8-hour workday. It's just not happening. You must select the critical few tasks that genuinely matter right now and leave the rest behind.
Then you step into the operating room. This is your protected, focused time block for deep work, completely free from distraction. This is a sacred zone where you single task. You step away from the inbox, you use timers to optimize your focus cycles, and you absolutely refuse to let interruptions break your flow. You stay in the operating room, working on the patient right in front of you instead of running to the door every single time someone knocks. And finally, we have the waiting room. This serves as a single, trusted holding pen for absolutely everything else. All those other ideas, the incoming requests, those non-urgent tasks, they get safely parked here, completely off-grid. Placing pending work in a trusted external system guarantees that these items stop hijacking your active brainpower while your head's down. They aren't forgotten, they're just patiently waiting their turn.
The rule of 5, operational constraint.
Now, the absolute crucial point here is the number 5. This dictates the absolute maximum capacity for your daily triage board. It is the core filter for your entire day. Here is the rule of 5 in action. Choose up to 5 must-do tasks, finish them, and only then consider adding more. The catch? You must actually finish the items on your board before you are allowed to add anything new. This is the golden rule. It prevents unrealistic planning, it forces you to actually cross the finish line, and it completely stops that endless, soul-draining cycle of half-finished work that always seems to haunt your evenings.
Constraint creates freedom. This brilliantly illustrates why capping your list isn't about doing less. It's actually about forcing really hard priority choices before the day even starts, which creates incredible momentum. When you deliberately limit your scope, you drastically reduce decision fatigue. You build true confidence, because seeing visible completion is vastly more motivating than just staring at a massive list of good intentions.
System limits, where it faces friction.
Now, let's be real for a second. If you're in a caregiving role, a highly reactive service job, or a really unpredictable operations environment, the rigid nature of this framework might be challenging. Workers who have zero control over their schedules or deal with constant, genuinely unpredictable emergencies will definitely need to adapt this framework carefully around their reality. Maybe that means shrinking the size of those operating room blocks to fit a more chaotic day.
But for those of us who do have some schedule control and maybe just struggle to stick to the system, Morris actually provides a free, faster companion app. And it's pretty clever. The app natively limits users from overloading their daily board. It rigidly enforces the rule of 5 digitally, literally preventing you from adding that 6th task. It makes absolutely sure you don't relapse into your old habits of carrying way too much mental weight.
The 1-week challenge. Put it into practice.
So I'll leave you with this question. What are your 5 must-dos tomorrow? I want to challenge you to try this system starting tomorrow morning. Identify your own 5 tasks, ruthlessly protect your time in the operating room, and purposefully put everything else straight into the waiting room. It's time to stop carrying everything and start finishing the critical few. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.